President Trump is once again in hot water. My God, look at the crazy stuff he's saying out there. President Trump basically accused, according to Media Ike, congressional Democrats of betraying the country today when he complained about their refusal to stand and applaud him during the state speech. My God, because we don't stand and applaud, we're treasonous? That's not exactly what Mr. Trump said.
Unemployment in the history of our country. This isn't me saying, this is the charts, the polls. We have the lowest in the history of our country. Dead silence, not a smile. In fact, there was one guy when I said the lowest African-American unemployment, he was sort of clapping. Like, who was that guy? He's a nice guy. I think he was a reverend. And he was, I wouldn't say it was exactly arousing, but he was putting his hands together. And I want to find out who he is. I'm going to send him a letter of thank you. And he was probably severely reprimanded. Don't you think, Rob? I think so, because he was the only one. So that means they would rather see Trump do badly, okay, than our country do well. That's what it means. It's very selfish. And it got to a point where I really didn't even want to look too much during the speech over to that side, because honestly, it was bad energy. No, it was bad energy. You're up there. You've got...
You know, there's something that you need to... as I'm watching this clip, I just recognized something that's very important. He's been doing it from day one, and this is key in the next generation of politics. This is absolutely key in the next generation of politics. This Trumpism that people on, well, from the mainstream media and from the legacy political parties don't like this Trump. You know, he's outlandish and my God, he's crazy. And look at all these things he's saying. Understand what Trump is doing is he is connecting with people in a personal way. He's connecting with people in a personal way, talking the way people talk, being an actual human being versus being this fake, polished political bureaucrat that they've been seeing for a long time. Now, when you're a real human being and you say things, some people are going to get mad at you. But at the end of the day, they're going to think you are a person. Now, whether you're a good person or a bad person, you know, that's completely up to them. But you are a real human being. And I think this political divide in this country, the divide not between Republicans and Democrats, but the divide between government and its people is growing far, far faster than anything. And it takes a person like Donald Trump who can speak to the people on their level to close that gap again so that we recognize that our political class, or we can at least be convinced for a little bit that our political class isn't a wholly separate unit from the rest of the United States. He is closing this gap and trying to remove the idea that there's a ruling class in this country. Now, whether it's true or it's not, if it's acting, it's not, I don't know. But understand that's what his effectiveness is he can close this communications gap and actually sound like a human being.
Half the room going totally crazy, wild. They loved everything. They want to do something great for our country. And you have the other side, even on positive news, really positive news like that, they were like death and un-American. Un-American. Somebody said treasonous. I mean, yeah, I guess why not? You know, can we call that treason? Why not? I mean, they certainly didn't seem to love our country very much. But you look at that, and it's really very, very sad. So we have to keep it going because this country is turning, and it's turning much faster. And I said I'm going to do it, but it's happening faster than I thought.
So what he said there is the Democrats sitting through this entire period was un-American. That was the president's words. And then somebody in the back yells, treasonous. And with a smile and a wink and a nod, he says, treasonous? Okay, whatever. You want to call it treason? We'll call it treason over here. That was part of communicating with people. It's something that I guess a bunch simply don't understand. And, of course, CNN had a little rebuttal here, little anger about Trump's words. CNN analyst Angela Ray sparred with former New York GOP gubernatorial candidate Astorino. Is that his name? Astorino? Anyway, this is what it sounded like.
And political commentator Angela Rye, also Rob Astorino, a former Republican candidate for New York governor. Thanks for both of you for being with us. Angela Rye, you hear the president calling Democrats treasonous who didn't stand or applaud enough.
Okay, first, that's a mischaracterization of what happened. He didn't call him treasonous. Somebody else did, and he turned it into a joke. So first, you're starting off with the lie, Anderson Cooper.
What do you make of those comments?
Well, I think it's really interesting. I don't think he was actually talking about all Democrats, though. I think that he was talking about a certain segment of the group. They happened to be adorned in kente cloth and Reese Taylor pins that day. That was the Congressional Black Caucus. He also cited...
he was talking about a specific group. He was just talking about black people being treasonous and un-American. That's not the case at all. Matter of fact, you can't even read into that. You have to make that up because it wasn't just the Congressional Black Caucus that was sitting firmly on their ass. It was half of the damn room that wasn't standing for anything. Half of the room. And the areas of the speech which were the most cartoonishly bad from an optics standpoint, especially in a speech that people approved of by and large, was when the president says, for whatever reasons, black unemployment is down and the Congressional Black Caucus is sitting on their ass, and you've got one guy who's clapping a little bit, kind of looking around. He really seems like he doesn't know what's going on or hasn't been listening. When you see that optic, when somebody says black unemployment is down and the Congressional Black Caucus doesn't seem to care, that is a very powerful message your side is sending, and now you have to cover for it.
Hispanic unemployment in his remarks, and he is saying that people would rather see Donald Trump lose than than Americans win, he says in the speech. And I think that is remarkable because I think what you were really seeing and hearing are people who know the truth. And the truth is that economic indicators lag, and that he can't take credit for something that is squarely an achievement of President Barack Hussein Obama.
It's all Obama! Oh my God, why the hell? Oh! Trump sucks! He just sucks! Tax cuts do nothing! Trump sucks! It's Obama! Damn it!
That was the reason why he didn't get the applause that he so desperately needs to feed his ego.
So, Angela, you think he was talking specifically about members of the Congressional Black Caucus as being treasonous
Absolutely.
Or un-American?
Yeah. Yes. Well, no. Overall, because he mentioned Nancy Pelosi as well. But when he started talking about African-American unemployment, he was talking about they and how quiet it was. I definitely know he was talking about that group because I watched it.
Okay, yeah, he was talking about that group because it was horrible optics for your side, you stupid loser. Black people back at work, and the Congressional Black Caucus sits on their ass. That's so, well, hold on. It's not ridiculous. It makes perfect sense to me because the Congressional Black Caucus, along with every other Democrat on the face of the planet, needs an underclass. They do not want the African-American community. They do not want the Hispanic community working. They want them subservient to the government. They want them existing only by government purview and off the government dole because that gives them power. That gives people like you the ability to speak. Right? When people that have your skin tone have good jobs and are very successful because they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and have worked hard and been responsible, Ben Carson, anyone, and become the greatest in their field, what do? You call them Uncle Toms.
Okay. Rob Astorino, are Democrats treasonous?
No. All right, that kind of rhetoric is crazy, and it's just as crazy for Maxine Waters.
Okay, first, that kind of rhetoric is crazy. No, please do not mischaracterize. I bet you he didn't see the clip. I would imagine he didn't see the clip. I will give him that much. But understand, if you're going to talk about something like this, have a little context. It is part of your job as a commentator, and you should have said it was a joke, and it was shouted by someone in the crowd, and he was going along with it to be funny and to connect with the crowd. And if you think it's anything other than that, then you're a fool.
to go on her rants half the time, talking about the president and he's got to be impeached and we'll figure out what it is, but we've got to impeach him and all that kind of stuff. None of that is helpful. But I do think a lot of Americans were taken aback that on simple things, on things we can all agree. I mean, black unemployment being at the lowest level recorded is a good thing. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. That's a good thing.
Great.
And for Democrats to look at each other like, can we clap here? Is that going to hurt us? I mean, that's silly. Same thing with the Hispanic caucus and just Democrats as a whole, when you've got things that are overarching themes that we should all agree on, and they're just sitting on their hands because they feel they have to. I think that's what most people were agreeing with the president with, like, and he was looking at him like, okay, we can all agree now. We're going to talk about transportation, right? Infrastructure. You know, sometimes he gets a little showman.
Is it any different than what happens at State of the Unions all the time? I mean, from past presidents as well. You know, Republicans stand up when it's Republican president, Democrats do. And I mean, again, not saying it's right, but it just, do you see this year as particularly different?
I do, yes. I think it's, I mean, it is so toxic right now on both sides of the aisle. And for the Democrats, a lot of it is, you know, a specific hate towards Donald Trump, the person. And sometimes you also have to.
That's a mischaracterization as well. It's not a hate towards Donald Trump, the person. It is a hate towards the people that voted Donald Trump into office. They hate you specifically. They hate you. And Donald Trump is just the figurehead.
To say the presidency or the office of the president, when they were at the inauguration saying, we're not even going to go. He didn't even get started yet. And they were boycotting his inauguration. Let's remember that. So this is a continuation of what's been going on.
Do you remember why?
Does it matter?
Yeah, it absolutely matters, and I'll tell you why it matters. It matters for all of those people who are brown who were called drug dealers and rapists. It matters for all of those people.
What about the brown people that you called the N-word? What about that? Because it happens all the time to anyone that has a conservative bent and happens to be black. They're treated the worst. They are treated as second-class citizens within your group. It has nothing to do with the color of skin. Okay, this whole question of race is ridiculous because I don't care what race you are. Okay, if you're black, Asian, whatever it is, if you don't toe or LGBT, whatever, if you don't toe the line, then you're out of that group and you're just as bad as the rest. So it has nothing to do with your race. It has nothing to do with your identity. It has everything to do with their fascist beliefs. And if you don't buy into what the great Führer says, then you are out.
All. He did not say all.
It doesn't matter if you say all. When you say Mexicans are drug dealers and rapists, you have a problem. That's how he started his campaign. That was
You said that, not him.
the day of his campaign announcement. This is a man that started talking about building a great, beautiful wall to keep people out of the country.
Yes. Because it hasn't been happening in the past, and it's causing tremendous problems within the United States. And it's not just Donald Trump. Understand, this is why they hate you. Most of the people in this country, including much of the African-American community, want a damn wall built. They want a wall built because they understand that this the illegal immigrants are overrunning this country. We can't control them. It creates dangers in a myriad of different ways, and it hurts us economically. It hurts the workers economically. They want them out. They want a wall built. They want our immigration laws upheld. And that is just a message that you refuse to learn, even amongst your own community, because, God dang it, it's not the fascist message that you want to push.